guys, welcome to the second half of our Shadows Over Innistrad set review. This is going to be the Mythics and Rares of Shadows Over Innistrad. For information about our rating system, be sure to check out the rating system video, which is linked to in the bottom of this post. And for our thoughts on the commons and uncommons of Shadows Over Innistrad, check out the commons and uncommons set review, also linked to in the description. My name is Morgan, and you are?
I'm Matthias Hunt. I'm also here. We're going to talk about some of the Shadows Over Innistrad cards, which are coming out this evening at the pre-release.
Woo! So good luck at your pre-releases. We are going to be playing you one tomorrow, because we're both very bad at staying up late. And so midnight is out of the question, but going to be there bright and early. So let's get started. First card, Always Watching. It is 1 white, non-token creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance. I think this one is a first pickable card, but I don't think the power level is high enough for it to be a power first pick.
Yeah, I think that I would first pick this a lot of the time. An Anthem effect like this, a Spear of Heliod or something is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Vigilance is nice, so there's some upside to it. The fact that it's non-token, that's a little bit of a drawback. But yeah, I would assume that I'll be first picking this card most of the time.
Cool. Next card. We are also going to be doing the double face cards at the end of each color. So you won't be seeing any Archangel Avacyn until the very end of the white cards. So keep an eye out for that. We didn't forget her, that's for sure. Angel of Deliverance is 8 mana for a 6/6 flyer.
Alright.
If you have Delirium, though, whenever it deals damage at all, you can exile target creature an opponent controls, and that's just gone for good. I think this is a first pickable card.
Yeah, so it's a 8-drop, which, that's a lot of work for it. But it's a really game-ending 8-drop. I'm going to go a little higher. This is a card that I'm going to say it's a power first pick. This is something I'm really happy to first pick. Mm-hmm. And I expect it to be first pick most of the time. This is a strong card to start your draft on.
Do you think the cost is something that you will not be able to play a lot? I know that the original Innistrad was a little aggressive.
I think this is about as similar, if you think about Emeria Shepherd from Battle for Zendikar, I think you're looking at about the same point there, where that was a 4/4 for 7 with this great ability. And, I would call Emeria Shepherd a power first pick, right? You almost always took it when you opened one. Okay. This seems similar.
Next is Bygone Bishop, which is a 2/3 for 3. It has flying, and whenever cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, investigate. So put a clue token onto the battlefield. I call this a power first pick. It's very efficiently costed, and I'm happy to play it in whatever white deck I have.
Yeah, this is really similar to a Mentor of the Meek, except for the fact that the power that this card is, its body's really good. Instead of just being a 2/2 for 3, it's a 2/3 flyer for 3 which can draw you a lot of cards. I'll pull power first pick as well. This may be one of the top 10 rares in the set. It's borderline. It really depends on what else we'll be seeing.
One of the things I really like about this card is efficiency. 2/3 flyer for 3 is something that you're always happy to play. Declaration in Stone. Exile target creature and all other creatures its controller controls with that same name as that creature. That player investigates for each non-token creature exiled this way. This is a sorcery for 1 and a white. And I'm going to call it a power first pick. It's pretty much unconditional removal.
Yeah, well, so it's actually, it's removal with its downside on it, if I'm reading it correctly, mm-hmm. right? I'm turning my opponent's creatures into clues. Mm-hmm. So it's a card that, this is where I think we're going to have our first big difference in it. It kills any creature, but it lets them draw a card for it. And that's actually, so I think it's actually, in that sense, it's similar to, if you remember, a card like Reality Shift from Fate Reforged, or something like that, where, yes, you kill their guy, but they get something. I would call this card just a regular staple. I don't think it's particularly strong at all. Yeah, I'll play it in my white decks, just in the same way I played Reality Shift in my blue decks. But I don't want to give people a card when I kill their creature.
Alright. Let's talk about Descend Upon the Sinful. It is 4 and 2 white for a sorcery, exile all creatures, and if you have 4 or more creature card types among cards in your graveyard, put a 4/4 white angel token onto the battlefield. So this wipes the board and leaves behind a 4/4 if it's late enough in the game, and I think this is really good. This card seems very strong to me, and I'm gonna put it in the top 10 of the set.
And I would do this as well. Now, a caveat here: we haven't gone through and like specifically made list of 10 cards. So this rating will be given to roughly 10 cards. I can't say specifically I'll be doing that. But yeah, so the best card, if we're gonna go really far back, there was a sweeper for the same mana cost, I believe, in Scars of Mirrodin block.
It's Mirrodin Besieged.
Mirrodin Besieged, yeah. It destroys all creatures, then you got a big XX horror token. And that card was very powerful. That creature was, this seems like it's actually better because it's exiling the creatures instead of just destroying them. On top of that, the creature you're getting, I'd rather almost always have a 4/4 flyer than a 6/6 ground pounder. So this is a better version of that card, and that card was already fantastic. It really wouldn't surprise me if it's on the top 10 of the set.
Also, Tyler Jacobson did a great job on this art. This is a pivotal scene in the lore for this set, and it looks great. Next is Drogskull Cavalry. It's another big white creature. It's a 4/4 for 7 with flying. Whenever another spirit enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 2 life, and it has the ability of 4, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. I'm going to give this one a power first pick ranking.
Yeah, same here. I don't know if it's a top 10 in the set, but I imagine I'll be first picking this card more often than not.
Yeah, don't let the cost fool you guys. This card will end the game very fast in your favor.
Yeah, one thing we are noticing is a lot of the rares in the set are very strong at the moment. There haven't been too many rares that we said, man, I don't want to first pick this.
Alright, this one is a little weird. Eerie Interlude is 2 and a white. Exile any number of target creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So you don't have to exile tokens if you don't want to, because that will just get rid of them permanently. And you can save your creatures in combat or something. This card's a little weird for me. I call it situational, because it's like a combat trick that can be really good if you have the enters the battlefield triggers for it. Otherwise, it's just kind of meh. It's not nearly as strong as the ones
for constructed play. I will go even lower. I don't really think it's a dregs card. I don't really see that the situation you're talking about. I don't expect it to show up enough. I do get that there could be a format where it is a situational card, but much like Ghostway, which was the card before it, I just don't see it happening, especially not with, yeah.
I like that you can choose your creatures, though. That's the thing.
That is nice. There's a lot. Yeah, you don't have to exile all of them.
All right, Odric Lunarch Marshal. 3 and a white for a 3/3. So solid stats, not exciting, but solid. At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain all of the keywords of the creatures that you control that have those keywords. So they're listed here.
So if one of your guys has an ability, all of your guys get the ability. Is the short version of it, and then they list all the different things that could be true for.
Yes. I think this card is a premium staple. I don't think it's exciting enough on its own, but it could be pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's exactly where I'd put it as well. It's a 3/3 for 4, and I think which is a fine creature, and I think its ability is probably better than most 3/3 for 4s, but it's not, so I'll be really happy to have it in my white deck, but I'm not planning on taking this over a good removal spell.
Yeah. Thalia's Lieutenant. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each other human you control, and as we saw in the Commons and Uncommons review, there were a lot of humans in the set. And whenever another human enters a battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Thalia's Lieutenant. I put this one at first pick level. It's got the potential to put a lot of power on the board when it enters, and it will just keep getting bigger over the course of the game.
So I think that's a little more generous than I want to be with the card. I will say it's a premium staple. You are just playing a 1/1 for 2, and yes, it can get bigger, and yes, it puts counters on your other things. But the baseline is somewhat low. This is something I could be wrong on. If there are enough, if humans are just a given that all your creatures can be humans in white, then yeah, it would probably be a first pick. I've seen enough spirits that I'm not really certain on that, so I'm going to be a little cautious on saying that this card's great.
All right. So we're going to go on to the double face cards now. As soon as I get those ones out of there. Archangel Avacyn is the first of the double face cards, and this one is a doozy. It is a 4/4.
Yeah.
For 5, with Flying, Vigilance, and Flash, when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and when a non-creature you control dies, transform it at the beginning of the next upkeep. So it doesn't flip right away, but it flips at the next upkeep.
Actually, so much I love the flavor on this card.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's great. It becomes Avacyn the Purifier. It is a 6/5 flyer. When it transforms into Avacyn the Purifier, it deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. So it has the potential to really wipe the board when it flips, and this card is easily top 10 for me.
Yes, this is a top 10 card in the set. I think of the cards we've reviewed so far of the rares, this is the best. So far, it's holding the title of the best card in the set to open.
Which is, probably reasonable considering that's like the headlining card of the set. So we've got Hanweir Militia Captain next. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 more creatures, transform it. It starts out as a 2/2 for 2.
So what do you think when you talk about those cards? Because you know that there's a German theme to Innistrad, right? Mm-hmm. So you call it Hanweir, or is it Hanweir?
Well, I don't really want to pronounce it Hanweir because I wouldn't normally pronounce it Hanweir, but
it's probably, I mean?
Yeah, it's probably like more correctly pronounced
Hanweir. Is it like Ulfenwald Mystics or Ulfenwald Mystics?
It's better as Ulfenwald.
Ulfenwald, you know?
It's cooler and more flavorful if you call it Ulfenwald, but I can't say that without looking like a fool, so I'm going to not do that. Next we've got
Can you go back to the front side?
Vestvale, alright.
Okay, so we need 4 creatures at the beginning of my turn, and then...
including itself, so 3 other creatures.
Much like Odric. Old Odric. Okay, anyway.
Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control, and at the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 white and black human creature token onto the battlefield. This card seems really good. I consider it to be a power of first pick. That's just a lot of value.
Yeah, so the difference between power first pick and first pick is along the lines of a fiery temper in the set. Mm-hmm. And power first pick would be along the lines of, a great uncommon. Don't know one's coming to mind right now. But
the arrest variant.
Sure.
The pacifism variant.
Yeah, or the witch. The witch that turned the I think this is also a power first pick. I would take this over a card like Fiery Temper for sure.
And that's the end of the white flip cards, so we're just cruising along here. Next card is Confirm Suspicions, and I just need to take these off really fast. Confirm Suspicions. Counter target spell, investigate 3 times.
Counter spell, draw 3 cards.
That's basically what it is, right? I'm gonna go ahead and call it a premium staple because I do like counter spells that draw me cards, but...
Yeah, counter spell, draw 3 cards is really strong, but... You are playing a 5-mana card. This is such an interesting card, and I'm not sure how to evaluate it on the surface.
Well, blue does care a lot about investigating.
This could be anything from a card that I don't want to play in draft to a card that I want to play lots of in my constructed deck, And I'm not really certain where it falls on that category. I suspect the card is very good. I'm going to go first pick on this.
Okay.
It's a kill... This is a low confidence for me, but I like to think that Magic card advantage is still king at the end of the day, and if that's true, this card's incredible.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I'm very excited. If I open this, I'm gonna be very happy. Next one, Engulf the Shore, right? Did I skip one? No,
Engulf the Shore.
Return to their owner's hands all creatures with toughness less than or equal to the number of islands you control. So this card's kind of weird. It's an instant is like something that's really important to note though. So you can end of your opponent's turn cast it. I'm gonna call this one a first pick. If you build around it, you'll be very happy.
I'm gonna be much harsher on this one. If you think about a lot of the bounce everything for 4 manas, like your Whelming Waves of the set, this compares pretty poorly to Whelming Wave. Yeah, I think best case scenario, this card is around, and I'm just going to keep naming other cards. This is similar to an Aetherize. Mm-hmm. But Aetherize wasn't a particularly great card in Limited. So I imagine this card will be going late. I would call it a replacement level card.
Alright, well, that's variance for you. Next is Epiphany at the...
One of us just made a stupid prediction.
Epiphany at the Drowneyard. Instant, reveal the top X+1 cards of your library and separate them into 2 piles. So,
it's another Fact or Fiction reprint.
That's not true.
Okay.
An opponent chooses one of those piles, so you separate and your opponent chooses, which is very, very different from your opponent separating and you choosing, which is what made Fact or Fiction so good.
Right. So I think the way to think about this, because we have to think how it's going to play out before we give it a rating, is what's going to happen is you're going to look at the X cards of your library, and one pile is going to be the best card, and the other pile is going to be the second best card plus stuff. And so you're going to get one of the two.
And I think this is good. Not great, though. I'm going to call it a staple, because I'll be happy to have it in my graveyard-based decks, but I won't be happy to open it.
Right, so I think this is actually a somewhat weak card, which it's weird because it looks so good, right?
Yeah.
So thinking, all right, so let's say I cast it for 4 mana, right? 3 and a blue, and so I'm looking at the top 3 cards. There's going to be a pile of 1 and a pile of 2, and I'm going to put the 1 card, the best card in the pile of 1, and the not best card in the pile, the other 2 in the other pile, right? Every time.
Yep.
So I paid 4 mana instant speed, and what my card was look at the top 3, pick 1, put it in your hand.
It's going to be the top 4, though.
Oh, it's the top 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So for 3 mana, it's so let's say I did for X equals 2. For 3 mana, I look at the top 3, put 1 in my hand and 2 in the graveyard. What card does that seem similar to?
Catalog.
Or like Anticipate?
Yeah.
Okay, so I paid 3 mana to Anticipate. Now, there's some plus side I can place for more. So it's like about as good as an Anticipate, maybe a little bit better. Staple seems right. Don't go first picking this card. I like card drawers, but it's still not Fact or Fiction.
Yeah, it's still not Fact or Fiction. Story of my life. I'm looking at you, Steve Augury.
How about Truth or Tale? That card is...
Ugh. I thought that was so much better than it was, but
that
that's
card's unplayable.
Wrong. Forgotten Creation is 4 mana for a 3/3 with Skulk. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may discard all of the cards from your hand. If you do, draw that many cards. I really like this card. I think it's about our first pick.
At the beginning of your upkeep, you may discard all the cards in your hand if you do draw that many cards. Whew. Remember that deck I said I wanted to... Yesterday, if you watched our video, I talked about how we could draft a deck where we milled our entire deck. This guy can certainly help. Skulk's interesting. I don't really know how good a 3/3 for just a 3/3 with Skulk is. So it's got a lot of utility going on to it, but at the end of the day, I think this is just a premium staple. I don't think I really want to first pick this guy. It's just a 3/3 for 4. It's got a lot of bells and whistles, so it goes up from staple to premium staple. But I don't not as high on it as you are.
You know, Geralf added those bells and whistles to make it good, though.
Is it Geralf?
Yep.
I always saw it Geralf.
I don't know. We should ask A. Marling.
You would know.
Geralf's Masterpiece. I'm still gonna pronounce it Geralf. Flying 7/7 for 5, so something's up. Geralf's Masterpiece gets -1/-1 for each card in your hand. So you cannot cast this if you.
So is this
have
the
7
Scab
cards in your
Ruinator
hand.
everyone wanted?
I don't think so. But you can pay for it, discard 3 cards to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You can activate this as an instant. So, excuse me, that's a plus. I'm gonna. This is just a huge flyer, right? If you cast it on turn 5, you're probably going to have
4/4.
Yeah,
4/4/3/3.
and it gets bigger or smaller.
You get it back for free, right? So it's got a lot of memory issues, right? I think Power First Pick is about right. I don't think it's a top 10 card in the set, but this is very strong. It reminds me of if you remember from, I'm going to go to old Innistrad cards, like a Sturmgeist.
Yeah,
style,
Sturmgeist was really good, though, because it kept drawing you cards.
Yeah, but it's just like this real big flyer with
Yeah.
upside. It's different, obviously, but like a power level feels it's going to be about the same as that.
Next is Jace, Unraveler of Secrets. This is the first Planeswalker that we've seen. It is one of 4, I think, but it starts out at 5 loyalty for 5 mana, which is pretty much where you want to be with the mana cost to starting loyalty ratio. And its +1 is scry 1, then draw a card. Its -2 is return target creature to its owner's hand, and its -8 is you get an emblem with whenever an opponent casts his or her first spell each turn, counter that spell.
So first of all, I want to say its emblem is not game ending in limited. I think a lot of times, even if you get to 8, it's going to be correct to keep +1ing your Jace and just using those first 2 abilities. In constructed, that's different, but in limited, if you made that emblem in limited, you're never going to get to counter my good card. I will just chuck a spell into that emblem and then keep going.
Yep. I'm going to call this one top 10. Planeswalkers tend to be very good in limited, and this one has so much loyalty that it's either going to get you a lot of value by drawing a bunch of cards and bouncing a bunch of creatures, or by gaining you a bunch of life because your opponent will try and kill it.
In my head, I'm keeping track of how many things I've given top 10 rating to, but I'm not going to do it for this one just yet. Planeswalkers Limited are great, so I'm going to say this is just a power first pick. It's I don't think it's one of the top 10 cards in the set. Mainly because it's not killing things. Like, on a board where you're actually losing... So when I kind of talking about a card, like, is it good when I'm ahead? Yes, obviously. Is it good when I'm even? Yes, it's great. It's a Planeswalker. Is it good when I'm behind? I'm not really sure he can catch me up when I'm behind. So not top 10, but still great. You should, if you ever open a Planeswalker in almost any limited set and the Planeswalker's not named Tybalt, you should probably be first picking it.
But we're getting Tybalt in the next set, guaranteed. It's gonna be great.
It is the right plane, isn't it?
Nephalia Moondrakes is a 5/5 flyer for 7. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gains flying until end of turn, and you can pay 6 and exile it from your graveyard. Creatures you control gain flying until end of turn. So this is not only a big guy, but if they deal with it, it's also a pretty strong finisher. So I'm gonna give it a power first pick status.
I'm less high on this one. It's just a 5/5 flyer for 7, which is actually kind of the going rate for flyers. I think its ability is cool, but not great. I think its exile ability is probably better than that. It's just a regular first pick.
All right.
You know, if you told me you want, if that was in the same pack as the Witch who flips to exile creature, I would take the Witch over that rare.
Okay. So we got Rattle Chains next. It's a 2/1 with flash and flying. When it enters the battlefield, target spirit gains hexproof until end of turn, and you may cast spirit spells as though they had flash. This card's sweet. I don't think it's got enough power for it to be a power first pick, but I'd first pick it.
I think it's a premium staple. A flash flying 2/1 is a good Magic card, so I'm happy to play it. And it's got some, like, think about Dimensional Infiltrator from the last set. This seems very similar to me, actually. And I think Dimensional Infiltrator was like, you know, it was a card that I'm really happy to play in my blue decks, but I wasn't first picking it. I don't think I'm a first pick Rattle Chains, but its name's really sweet. And I like all the things it does. I like giving out my spells flash. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, for sure. Next we've got Welcome to the Fold. It is a sorcery for 2 and 2 blue. It's the first Madness spell we've seen from the Rares and Mythics. With Madness X blue, you gain control of target creature if its toughness is 2 or less. If Welcome to the Fold's Madness cost was paid, instead gain control of a creature if its toughness is X or less. So you can cast it at instant speed and on a much bigger creature, and this card's worth making work, in my opinion. I think it's a power first pick. Control magics are pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm just thinking about what it does for a sec. Yep, I'll first pick this. It's a control. It's a mind control.
Power first pick or?
Yep, power first. Yeah, it's real good. I'm wondering if it's even better if it's like a top 10 card in this set.
It might be.
I think the fact that it's hard. So the card Mind Control proper was a top 10 card in its set. The fact that I have to do a lot of work to steal your bomb with it, I think means it's not a top 10, but still very good.
Alright, so next we've got Startled Awake. It is another sorcery for 4 mana. Target opponent puts the top 13...
I love the 13 theme in Innistrad. That's just great.
Cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And you can pay another 5 mana to put Startled Awake from your graveyard onto the battlefield transformed. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery.
No, it's a persistent nightmare. You weren't just Startled Awake, it just kept happening. It's still there.
And it becomes a 1/1 with Skulk, and 1/1s with, or 1/Xs with Skulk are definitely the cards that are hardest to block, because you have to have a creature with exactly 1 or 0 power. So when it deals combat damage to a player, return it to its owner's hand. So basically, this is how you rebuy the Startled Awake. So this card's really weird. It's like a mythic that has a really cool effect.
Do you want me to go for it first?
Yeah,
or do you want
go
to go for it first? All right. This is the top 10 card in the set.
Oh, wow.
I know. All right. So now I need to justify this, right?
Yeah.
If I resolve the front half twice, I think I've basically won the game. Because you start with a 40-card deck, you draw 7, so you have a 33-card deck, and if I cast it twice, I've milled you for 26. And considering that this card's a 5-drop, I bet you've drawn 7 cards. So, okay, if I resolve it a second time, I win. So the first time, I get half your deck. And then if this little 1/1 ever hits you, I have a card that says, I win in my hand. I think that's just... And not to mention, if, okay, bring this back as a 1/1, if you kill it, I'm going to bring it back again. And again, and again. And if this guy ever connects with you, you lose the game. So, like, this card seems nuts. I don't know if it's better...
It's a sorcery? Oh, okay.
Right? But just think about it for a second. Like, all I have to do is cast it twice and you lose.
Okay, so I had it at first pick status. I'm gonna, in light of that, upgrade it to power first pick.
All right, I'm convinced you at least halfway.
Yeah, I'm not sure about top 10, but it's
I think it's
really
the best
cool
blue
card.
I think it's the best blue card in the set.
All right, what about this one? Thing in Ice. It's a 0/4 for 2.
It turns in the other side, by the way, is called Thing Out of the Ice.
That's not true. Thing in the Ice enters the battlefield with 4 ice counters on it, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, remove an ice counter from Thing in the Ice.
This card is pre-ordering for $20 right now.
I think that's overrated. According
for
to
a regular rare, that's unreal.
Shaheen Sarani says it's just a sideboard card.
Okay.
Anyway, it becomes Awoken Horror, which is okay. First of all, this is totally.
He would never play this kind of card, though. This is not. It's not a planeswalker or a sweeper or a counter spell, so it's probably not his kind of card.
But he says sideboard. First of all, this is going in my Kraken EDH deck. Second of all, this card's really sweet. When this creature transforms into Awoken Horror, return all non-horror creatures.
Thing out of the ice.
And it becomes a 7/8, and usually it will be unblocked for the first turn because
everybody ran away.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a first pick. I don't think it's consistent enough to be higher than that, though.
So we're playing limited, and you're telling me I have to resolve 4 instants or sorceries after casting this guy in limited? There's no flashback in this set to help me do that.
No.
I just don't think this is going to flip enough.
Okay.
Situational at best. I think this card will be in your sideboard a lot of the time.
I think if I first pick this, I'll be able to enable it more, but
even then,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's that. I think the hoop they're trying to make you jump through is just a little high for limited.
All right. So we've got Asylum Visitor next. It's a 3/1 for 3 at the beginning of each player's upkeep. So each turn, not just yours. If that player has no cards in hand, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So this is
templated. I thought it was the Scrivener, or the 2/1 zombie, but. So if my opponent has no cards, I draw a card.
Yep. Which is pretty cool.
That's a new effect. Okay.
Yeah, it's templated a lot like the cards that only let you draw on your turn or will benefit both people somehow. And it has Madness for 2, which seems kind of incidental. It's a 3/1 for 2. I think this is a power first pick because you first pick it and your aggressive deck is just really good afterwards.
I'm going to go with a premium staple. I think it's just a 3/1 for 2 that I'm happy to play. I like that it has a lot of upside. It's got this draw thing. It's got this madness thing.
It's got this vampire thing. It's also a vampire.
Yeah, it's also a vampire, so maybe it's better than that. But I think at the end of the day, what you're really, a lot of times what this card is going to be is just a 3/1 for 2 with no text. You're going to play it on turn 2, and then if there's a trade, you're going to trade it, and that's going to be the end of the day.
All right. Next is Behold the Beyond. It is a mythic for 7 mana. Discard your hand, search your library for 3 cards, and then put those cards into your hand, then shuffle your library. It's really expensive for not a lot of doing things.
Oh, you gotta like more expensive things. In Sealed Deck, I will play this card every time. It's about being... So I want to try to find some sort of combo with this card. Really bad. Where I just win the game.
Limited? This
Always.
is a limited review,
Yeah, I know. Always. Let's see.
It's so expensive.
It is. It's not unplayable.
Yeah. In draft, though, I don't think I will ever pick it over a playable card, though.
I would say it's situational. There's a deck I wanted in.
Alright. Diregraph Colossus is a 2/2 for 3 that enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard. Whenever you cast a zombie spell, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. So, did you notice that there were a bunch of zombies in the black?
Yeah, well, there usually are. I mean, we have Geralf and Gisa are on this plane, right?
Yep. So, I'm going to go ahead and put this one at power first pick. I'm happy to play it on turn 3 or later in the game, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of value out of it if I do.
Yeah, I will give it the same rating. This is too much value to not be good.
Alright. Ever After. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each of those creatures is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Put it on the put Ever After on the bottom of its owner's library. I'm going to call this one a first pick. I think it's pretty good for 6 mana.
So it's a double zombify?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I think it's just a staple. I don't see too, not even a premium one at that. Zombify is a card I usually don't like playing. A double Zombify is okay. Yeah, I can get some value out of that. That's pretty neat.
And you never mill if you keep casting it every turn.
Okay, so when I go back to that. So you know the deck I was talking about where I mill my whole deck.
Yeah.
How sweet is this? Do you see what we're going to
Yeah.
do? We have no library. We cast this card. We bring back 2 creatures. We put Ever After as our library. Then guess what we cast next turn?
You cast it Ever After, and you don't even need targets for it.
Right, just every turn you cast this, and if they ever kill your guy, you just keep putting them in play. I so want to build this deck. Oh, man.
Alright, this card is super sweet. From under the floorboards, put 3 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped, and you gain 3 life. This is a sorcery. If from under the floorboards Menace cost was paid, so X and 2 black, put X of those tokens onto the battlefield tapped, and you gain X life. I'm going to call this one a
three
power first pick.
3 zombies. There's a lot of stuff going on. So it's X is locked in on 3 unless I madness it, and it makes X zombies, and I gain X life. So I get 3 no matter what, and if I mill it, I can get more. Yeah, power first pick. That's really good. That's the way to think about these. There's one, right? It's just, that's the way, it's locked, kind of like the mind control. It's locked in on 3, but you can do, if you manage it, you can do more.
Yep. So, Markov Dread Knight. It's a 3/3 flyer for 5. You can pay 2 and discard a card to put 2 1/1 counters on Markov Dread Knight.
Whew.
This is... You go first on this one, because I'm not sure about it.
I will definitely first pick this card. I think it is just a regular first pick, though. Because it's a 3/3 for 5 on the surface. But the ability... A 3/3 for, it might even be better. So, on curve, you can play it. Then you can discard 2 cards and hit them for 7 in the air.
That's a lot of damage. I was going to call it a premium staple, mostly because the discard ability is kind of expensive. But it's really good at the top end of your curve.
Just that specific interaction of play it, pitch your hand, make a 7/7, I think is going to matter a lot.
Alright. Mindrack Demon. It's 4 mana for a 4/5 with flying and trample.
That's a great raid already.
When it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. Holy Kamina. So this is meant to enable Delirium.
Well, you better, because if you're not delirious, you shouldn't play with Mindrack Demon.
At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 4 life unless there are 4 or more card types.
I love it. So it's a Delirium drawback.
Oh my goodness. But it's a demon, so demons mostly will have drawbacks. I'm going to call this one a power first pick. It's a big flyer, and it has trample too, which is really funny on a flyer. Because it's got 2 forms of evasion.
I actually think it's worse. I think this card for Constructed is good. In Limited, if you don't have Delirium, this card is just actually bad to play.
I think there's
because it's dealing 4 to both players. Like,
okay.
Imagine you play that. I don't think you can even play this if you don't have Delirium. Like, what if I put an arrest on it? Like, you lose. Or if I block, I chump it. Or I guess it has trample.
It's got trample.
No, but what if I have a 2/5 reach? They're at common, which exists. You're just like, oh my gosh, you're gonna kill yourself. I think this drawback is too big.
Okay.
So what's the rating? I think it's just a staple. I don't know. This is not great.
Alright. Relentless Dead. It's a 2/2 for 2 black mana, so kind of heavy on the mana color needs. But it has Menace, and when it dies, you may pay a black. If you do, return it to its owner's hand. When Relentless Dead dies, you may pay X. If you do, return another target zombie card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's a lot of value. I think this is a first pick. I don't know if it's a power first pick.
I just think it's just a first pick. For Constructed, this card has a lot more potential, but Limited, it's just a 2/2 Menace.
Alright. To the Slaughter. 3 mana, instant. Target player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead that player sacrifices a creature and a planeswalker.
Okay, so in Limited, this card it's 2 and a black. Target player sacrifices a creature. That's it. Ignore everything else. They don't have a planeswalker, and if they do, they're not sacrificing it. Unless you make them.
I'm gonna call it a premium staple. It's still removal, and it's still pretty strong.
3 mana instant target player sacrifices a creature in limited is actually a very poor removal spell typically in limited. I'm going to put this at replacement level
Alright,
common, so meaning it's a removal spell that I will play, but I would hope to be able to cut it from my deck.
okay. Next is Triskaidekaphobia. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one.
This card's cool.
Each player with exactly 13 life loses the game, and then each player gains 1 life. Or each player with exactly 13 life loses the game, then each player loses 1 life. So this card is 4 mana for an enchantment. It's pretty strict requirement on the whole 13 thing. And if you have exactly 13 life when this card triggers, you will lose the game, which is fun, right, guys?
Oh, it can kill you. Huh?
Yep.
So if I'm at like 15 and you're at 17, I can't do anything with this card.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and put it at Dregs because this card's sweet, but I won't ever play it.
The fact that if it only killed your opponent, I think we could do something with this. I think it is the same. I don't think you want to play this. I wish so.
Yeah, right? It seems super cool. Alright, next.
I'm going to play it sometimes.
No, that's... Here we go. Next is Elusive Tormentor, and I just gotta fix this. It's a 4/4 for 4, so...
Vampire Wizard.
Yep. And you can pay 1, discard a card to transform Elusive Tormentor. Okay. And...
it turns blue?
Yeah!
Why is it blue? The Insidious Mist. Is it the same... Is it the same artist? That does both sides of the same card?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Insidious Mist is a 0/1 hexproof indestructible, so your opponent probably won't be able to kill it, and it will save your Elusive Tormentor if your opponent tries to kill it to transform it.
So what it is my creature, he's like in fantasy games or like a superhero has a power that they can turn themselves into mist and then reassemble. Mm-hmm. If that's what he's doing.
Yep.
Okay.
And it can't block and can't be blocked, so the indestructible won't help you if you are trying to block their fatty every turn. However, when it attacks and isn't blocked, you may pay 2 and a black if you do transform it.
So I can swing, no blocks, 4/4.
Yep. Which is pretty cool. It seems pretty good. I'm gonna give it a first pick level. It's kind of mana intensive and it's definitely card intensive, but 4/4 for 4 is not bad.
I think that this is a premium staple. I think it's a very good 4-drop that you can play. I don't want to take it over a great kill spell yet, though.
Okay. That was the only flip card in black and rare. Interesting. No Bloodline Keepers in this set, apparently.
The best card in the set?
Yeah, that one. Avacyn's Judgment is 1 and a red, with Madness of X and a red. Avacyn's Judgment deals 2 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. At sorcery speed, if Avacyn's Judgment Madness cost was paid, it deals X damage divided as you choose among those creatures and or players instead. I'm gonna give this card a power first pick status. It can win you the game, or it can be removal, depending on what spot you're in.
For the first time of a non-mythic, I'm going to say this is one of the top 10 cards in the set. It is Rolling Thunder, but better. And I love that you can just play it on turn 2. The thing about Rolling Thunder is it has no early game play. This has a ton of early game play as a Forked Bolt. This card, I think, could see constructed play.
Struggle. Alright. Burn from Within. X and a red. It deals X damage to target creature or player. At sorcery speed, if a creature is dealt damage this way, it loses indestructible until end of turn. And if that creature would die this turn, exile instead. I'm going to give it a first pick status. It's removal. It's great, but
I don't
it's
like
not...
that it kills indestructible things. That kind of,
But it's from
flavor-wise.
within.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, red X removal for creatures is really inefficient, actually, when it comes down to it. So Heat Ray kind of style card. This, I think, is worse than Heat Ray. And Heat Ray is a premium staple. I'm going to go as far as, I don't really care about the exile part. I'm going to go and just say a regular staple. I don't think this card's all that good. I think people are I would not want to first pick it because I guess well, hold on. Oh, it can go to players, huh?
Yep.
It's okay. Back up. I missed that part. Okay. It can go to players. That's super cool. It's probably a premium first pick now.
One of the
Premium staple.
One of the things that made me want to first pick this card is Red's removal isn't that great right now. So having Burn from Within as an option for removal is
How about this? Would you take it over a Fiery Temper if they're in the same pack?
No.
Okay. I don't think I would either.
Alright. Next is Devil's Playground. Put 4 1/1 red devil creature tokens onto the battlefield. They have when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Or player is very important. I'm going to call this one a first pick.
Just a premium staple. I don't. It's good. It's a lot of little double guys. I don't think I'm taking this over a good removal. So I don't think I'm taking this over a Fiery Temper.
All right. Vulcanwrath Gorger is a 2/1 for 1 red mana. Each vampire creature you can own that isn't on the battlefield has madness. Its madness cost is equal to its mana cost. I'm gonna give it
super weird.
Premium staple status. It's very efficient in the right tribe. And
what's that 2/1 for 1? So that's good.
2/1 for 1.
So 2/1 for 1. That's what you're paying for.
Yep.
It's a really interesting ability. I will give it the same rating. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah. Okay. I like 2/1s for 1 quite a bit.
Flameblade Angel is a 4/4 for 6 with flying. Whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent control, you may have Flameblade Angel deal 1 damage to that source's controller. So if an opponent's creature attacks you and you block, it deals damage. This just gets in a lot of damage. I'm going to call it a first pick. It's a big flyer, and its upside is pretty sweet.
I'm going to first pick this as well. 4/4s, 5s for 6 usually are not first picks, but that ability, I think, is quite good.
It can really add up, for sure. Like, even if they block, you do a lot of damage.
Or a permanent you control. Geez, so...
Yeah. If you attack with a bunch of creatures.
That's... Oh, goodness. This card might even be a better than theirs. She might be a really good first pick. She might be a premium first pick.
Alright, well, noted. Gold Knight Castigator. Well, that's a 4/9 for 4 with flying and haste. Wow.
And then you take double damage and it takes double damage.
Yup. I don't like it.
I don't want to do that.
No.
I don't like this.
I'm going to call it situational. If I need a flyer or a finisher, I'll play it. But it's not. It's efficient.
This is for constructed play.
Yeah.
Where not everyone's trying to deal damage to you. I'm going to situate. I don't really want to play this.
No. Harness the Storm. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast target card with the same name as that spell from your graveyard. You still play the costs. How many instants or sorceries
with the same name are you going to have in your limited deck? That right.
I might play this if I have like 4 Fiery Tempers. That's a lot of Fiery Tempers.
You have to still pay. Why do we still have to pay for it?
Because otherwise this card would be insane in constructed.
I guess it's good with Oh, you can play it with like Pyretic Ritual.
Yeah.
That'd be really good. Play my Pyromancer Ascension deck.
Yeah.
That'd be really good. Okay, yeah, but I won't play it in limited at all.
Yeah, thanks.
What's wrong with casting Pyretic Ritual and getting a free Pyretic Ritual?
Alright, we got a 2/2 first strike.
It's like my favorite card in the set. I'm so excited to play this
double
card in
strike
limited.
as long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard.
You can bet Aura's going to be in the graveyard.
I'm going to give it a first pick. It's really efficient and it can be pretty big beating.
Much as I love it, just premium staple. I don't want to first pick a red 2-drop.
It's probably the best 2-drop in red, though.
It is, and the red 2-drop frequently is. So it's like when you have like Blood Knight in a set. Yeah, you like it more than all the other 2-drops, but it doesn't. Like think about like Ember Hauler. It's kind of probably like that power level where you like it. You're not gonna go wild for it. I'm not gonna. How do you feel like when you first pick Ember Haulers? Where it's like, oh, I guess this card's good, but I sure did pick a red 2/2.
I've never played in a format with Ember Hauler.
What's the most recent? Okay, what's the more recent red 2-drop? They give those every time. Red 2-drops with sweet abilities.
I don't know, man. Tybalt.
That's not. No.
All right. Sin Frauders next. It's a 3/2 for 3 with Menace. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. Any opponent may have you put that card into the graveyard. If that player does, Sin Frauder deals damage to that player equal to the card's converted mana cost. Otherwise, put that card in your hand. So you're never going to get a land off this.
Yeah, this card basically, it's like a 3/2 menace for 3 that
Might.
maybe deals some damage.
I think it's pretty good. It's
Don't.
like,
Yeah, that's too high for me to say it's a first pick. It just scribble out all the other text. He's a 3/2 menace for 3. Okay.
I mean, I loved Boggart Brute.
Boggart Brute is a staple, and this card I think is a staple.
Okay.
Nothing more. Don't be fooled by the text. You're not going to draw cards off this.
It's basically Vexing Devil.
Vexing Devil was bad and limited.
Alright, 5/5 for 5. Oh boy. Whenever Wolf of Devil's Breach attacks, you may pay 1 in red and discard a card. If you do, Wolf of Devil's Breach deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the discarded mana card's converted mana cost. Rules quit thing before we talk about this. You choose the target when the trigger goes on the stack, but you choose whether or not to pay it when the spell resolves. At the point where you choose to pay it, your opponent can't do anything about it. So they can't, in response to you discarding a card, they can't giant growth their creature to save it. So
yes.
This card is real good. I'm gonna call it top 10.
I was gonna say that this is a top 10 card in the set for me.
Yeah.
Something keeps driving my head. This is the 5th card I've given that rating to. So
I mean,
we're on pace.
We're in red too. So
yeah.
we're and also this is like the last red card apart from.
I know. I might actually give this to 10 cards. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but this card is insane, and just the way that its trigger is
it's
worded,
like Flame Blast Dragon.
it kills a lot of stuff.
So hey Morgan, if I discard a Madness card, do they deal damage equal to the Madness cost or to the converted mana cost of the Madness? So like there's this red 5-drop that Madness is for 3 mana. If I discard it, do I get to deal 3 or 5?
5.
Oh, okay, that seems really sweet.
Yeah, this card's real good. Oh man, imagine opening this for your like promo too. It'll be all shiny and have the date on it.
It's a dog, right? It's a dog.
Yes, it is. It is an elemental wolf.
Wolves are dogs, right? They're related.
Genetically, yes, but they're pretty far apart. Like you'll never see a dog laying in front of the fire. My dog is laying in front of the fire right now, guys.
Dogs and wolves can't breed.
No,
for example.
That's true. All right. Or they can't produce viable offspring, so their babies can't have babies.
Oh.
Anyway, Gyre Reach Bandit, 3/2 for 3 with haste at the beginning of each upkeep.
It's got the werewolf ability.
Yep. If no spells to cast us, turn transform it.
So what's it turn into?
Vilden.
Pack.
Alpha. Whenever a werewolf enters the battlefield under your control, you may transform it.
Whoa!
That's a big guy that does that.
So it kind of gives your other werewolves haste in a really weird sort of way.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I'll first pick this card.
I think it's supposed to first pick it. Yeah, 3/2 haste for 3 is like whatever, but I'll first pick it. Yep. I suspect this is a big ability.
Mm-hmm. Next, we've got green flip cards. Which
we'll get back to those later.
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Sage of Ancient Lore. Cryptolith Rite. Creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. I'm gonna go ahead and call this one Dregs. It's a 2 mana enchantment that I probably will never play. It was cool when it was a conspiracy, though.
I never played that.
No, that's fine.
I want to say something really cool you could do with this, but I don't know what it is yet. So it's Dregs until I think of what we're going to do with it.
Alright, keep an eye out to...
you don't want to play... You don't like Paradise Mantle?
No, I'm good.
Okay, what if it was for all your guys?
What if it costs 2 mana?
Paradise Mantle costs 2 to equip, doesn't it?
No, I think it's free.
No, it's free to play.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, follow at MTG Matthias on Twitter to keep pace with what he's going to do, what cool thing he's doing with Crypto.
I like building combo decks in Limited. So one of the things I have is I have like an achievement unlocked sheet of things I need to accomplish in the set. I'll try to post, I'll tweet this at some point. It's like, it's kind of like, your X-Pac achievements. Like, so for example, like in Dragons of Tarkir, one of them was make infinite counters with 2 enduring scale lords. Or, last set in battle, we had things like kill someone with Defiant Bloodlord plus the Blighted Step.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just 2-card combo someone with it. Just kill them from 20. I think kill someone with Triskaidekaphobia is going to be on this one's achievement on
Mine was kill someone with Barrage Tyrant and 2 Desolation Twins.
Yes, Barrage Tyrant, but chuck the twins.
And it
and
happened.
You did it,
and
which
you
was
were
great. I was there.
Great.
That was right. Like if I untap, I'm gonna 20 you.
Yeah, I didn't attack in order to get the perfect win.
They're at 20.
Take them for 20.
He's looking like, what are you at? 20? Okay.
Pass. Next. Deathcap Cultivator is a 2/1 for 2. Add black or green to your mana pool, and Deathcap Cultivator has Death Touch as long as there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a first pick. It reminds me of Heir of the Wilds, which I first pick pretty frequently.
I don't want to first pick this. I'm going to say it's a premium staple. It's a mana. It's a Leaf Gilder, which is always usually a high pick. It's got upside too. This is a real great card. It should be gone in the first couple picks, but would I take it over a good kill spell? Like, I'm still like, I kind of am saying with these, like, do I take it, is it on the same level as a Fiery Temper? Like, maybe it is.
Inexorable Blob. It's a 3/3 for 3. When it attacks, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put a 3/3 creature token onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Oh, this card is scary.
So it just makes more oozes. That's what oozes do.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a premium staple. Its size is good, but not great, so it might die the first time it attacks and makes a token. But it still makes a token, which is pretty cool.
So what I wish it said
was a copy?
Yes. I wish it put a copy of itself onto the board.
That'd be so good. It probably did at one point in development,
I mean, we can't be the first person to have thought of that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, premium staples. Oh boy, it might even be better than that. If you even get the 3/3 once, it's really strong. Like this card, I'm gonna say it's a first pick. This card can run away with a game.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! Imagine your opponent playing this on 3 and then getting
Delirium right away.
Yeah. Oh my god. Seasons Past. First of all, beautiful art. Good job, Christine. That's what it looks like. I can't really read it. It's very small. Return any number of cards with different converted mana costs from your graveyard to your hand. Put Seasons Past at the bottom of its owner's library. So this is another one for your
my
combo
Mill
deck.
Myself deck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this card is really good. Usually cards like this exile themselves too. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna I've never played with a multiple regrowth card like
Restock
this.
would be the one if you've ever played with Restock.
I have never played with Restock.
Wasn't that just in M15?
I never cast it.
Okay. It's like that was around not too long ago.
Yeah.
They're okay. They're very grindy cards. So this is basically gonna raise dead your whole graveyard. So I think that raise deading your whole graveyard and set with milling yourself is going to be a draw 3 or a draw 4.
Mm-hmm.
For 6 mana, I'm pretty down. I'm going to call this one a first pick.
Okay, so I just thought of something. You can play it in your Crawling Sensation deck, which means it is a power first pick for me.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it's very good.
It's sweet.
A lot of card advantage.
Second Harvest. It is 4 mana for each token you control at instant speed, mind you. Put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of that permanent. So this could make a lot of clues. I think that's mostly what it's going to be doing.
Clues are tokens, right?
Yes.
So that does work with clues.
It's going to make a lot of clues, and I'm going to call it situational because in the clue deck that is coming, that seems to be happening in Battle for Zendikar, or not Battle for Zendikar, Shadows Over Innistrad, it's going to be sweet, but otherwise, nah.
You don't really want to play this card. It's situational, but you probably should cut it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very good.
Is there a card that says if you control 20 or more clues, you win the game? Because if there is,
probably.
That card's going in the deck. Alright, Silver for Partisan is a 2/2 with trample for 3. Whenever a werewolf or wolf you control becomes the target of an instant or sorcery spell, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield. This card seems pretty good. I'm going to call it a premium staple because it relies on instants or sorcery spells, but this also counts combat tricks as well as removal spells, so it might be better.
I'm just going to call it a staple. 2/2 trample for 3 is not a good creature. And your opponent is never going to trigger this for you, so it's going to have to be you triggering it, which, okay, if you do, cool, you get some wolves, and maybe that's worth it, but I don't think it's particularly good.
Alright, next we have Soul Swallower. It is a 3/3 with trample for 4, so okay stats. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put 3 1/1 counters on it. That I feel like it will be attacking for 6 the turn after you play it a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and call this one a first pick.
A power first pick for me. This is really good.
Big.
It's just
takes over the game.
It takes over the game really quickly.
If you've played against what's that card? Scoot Mob. So cute mob.
Yeah.
All right. This one is a 3/2 for 3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. And whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a 1/1 counter on Tireless Tracker. One thing that I noticed after our set review is sacrificing clues to pay costs. For example, the cost on Angelic Purge says sacrifice a permanent, counts towards this sort of ability. It doesn't say whenever you sacrifice a clue using its activated ability. So, it, like, that just, this text just became a lot better for me. I think it's really good. I think it's a first pick.
All right, I'm gonna give this one of the top 10 cards in the set, which it's a not rare. It's not even a mythic, and it's not on its surface that scary. But thinking about how this plays out, okay, we have a 3/2 for 3, which is pretty good, but every single land lets me draw a card. That upside on that is really scary. Like, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start playing lands and drawing cards every turn, and then I'm going to also have this giant creature when I do it. Like, if you don't have a kill spell for this, I don't think you can... If your opponent doesn't play and you don't kill it, I don't think you can reasonably win the game anymore.
Alright. That makes sense. I changed my rating to power first pick because I can do that. I'm the one with the clicker.
Caravan Vigil.
Yeah, except for with Delirium. 1 mana, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. If there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead search your library for a creature or land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. One of the things that I like about this card is that it costs 1 mana. Otherwise...
it can only be so bad when it costs 1 mana.
I'm going to call it a replacement, though. I will not play it if I don't have to.
I'm going to call it a staple because... So a card like Caravan Vigil in this set, where what I like is that normally you don't want to play this kind of card because you're like, well, if you just want a land, play a land. It puts a sorcery in the graveyard for very, very little investment, and there's enough to... let's say there was a card like Reach Through Mist in set. One blue instant draw card. I think it would be more playable in the set than it normally would be because, hey, it puts an instant in the graveyard. That's enough to make me think that most of my green decks will want to run this. But it's not... I mean, you're running it just because you're like, hey, it puts a sorcery in the graveyard. Like, you don't really care... The fact that I can tutor up a creature when you have Delirium, I don't really think is what this card's about. What this card's about is a random sorcery that you can put in the yard.
Alright, next one is Ulvenwald Hydra. It is an
Ulvenwald
XX.
Hydra.
That's the one. With Reach, its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control, so usually it's going to be a 6/6 for 6. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for
it's Primeval Titan.
Card, put it onto the battlefield tab, and then shuffle your library, so it's a 7/7 for 6. That's pretty cool.
It's not. I like Primeval Titan so much.
Yeah, they're not going to print Primeval Titan.
Well, the card's really broken. It's cards like it tutors way too many times.
I'm going to give this one a first pick. It's a big fat fatty.
Any land card, not just a basic land card.
Oh, wow.
In limited, that doesn't really matter. You're probably just getting a basic land. Primeval Titan is not actually that good in limited.
That's why I put it at first.
This is a first pick.
Yeah. It's sweet, though. It's big. Yeah. And it's got Reach, which is really interesting. I like that Wizards is putting Reach on things instead of Trample nowadays. It makes things a lot bigger, I think.
We got any double-faced cards? I think we do.
Yeah, we do. First is Sage of Ancient Lore. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So you can't play this if it's the only card in your hand because state-based actions will check before the ability resolves. But if you have 1 card in your hand, it becomes a 2/2 for 5. Hooray!
Okay, so right now it's the world's biggest Elvish Visionary, so that backside better be good.
Werewolf of Ancient Hunger. It's got Vigilance, Trample, and its power and toughness are equal to the total of cards in all players' hands. I think it's big. It's sweet. I don't think it's good enough. I think it's a premium staple because it could be pretty good, but I don't want to pick it over a Fiery Temper.
I don't even know if it's a premium staple. I'm just going to go regular staple. This card's going to be pretty small, and its size, your opponent has way too much control over how big it is. It might not even be that. This might be a replacement level card. I don't like it.
Alright. So that's exciting, but we will do Island Court later. Next is Altered Ego. For those of you who are not aware, I helped spoil this card on Twitter, and it was so much fun. It was the judge
spoil, right?
Yeah, it was the judge spoil, and it was so much fun. It was a lot better when I thought it was just X, green, and blue, but it's still pretty sweet. It can't be countered, and you can have Altered Ego enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, so it's got the clone ability, except it enters with X additional 1/1 counters on it, so you can make it as big as your mana allows it to.
Uncounterable clone that can be kicked with counters.
Yeah. I think it's a premium staple. I won't be first picking this over a removal spell, especially since it's 2 colors, but I think it's pretty good.
I'll say you can first pick this. Clones are generally pretty good, and that X ability, okay, I think adds enough that I like it.
All right.
If your creature, if your opponent has a bomb rare, you have the same card, but it's bigger.
Okay, English Unmaking. Exile target non-land permanent, you lose 3 life. So it is a 3-mana removal spell with a bit of a drawback. Again, I'm going to put this one at premium staple.
Be careful about this card, because I think you want it to be a Vindicate or an Utter End, but it really isn't. 3 life is a lot. I'm just going to put it at regular staple. I remember how Ulcerate was fine, but not great. Like, I don't think this will see much constructed play for limited. Yeah, it kills anything for 3 mana. We can cast it, but I'm not that happy about it.
Alright, next we have Fevered Visions. At the beginning of each player's end step, that player draws a card. If that player is your opponent and has 4 or more cards in hand, Fevered Visions deals 2 damage to him or her, so 3 mana Howling Mine, but it's at the beginning of each player's end step. So you will draw the first card off of this card, and your opponent will not get the benefit of being able to cast that card like they would if it triggered at the beginning of an upkeep, which is really interesting. I like this card. I think it's a premium staple. Its ability is pretty unique, and I like it.
Howling Mines are typically not very good in limited. I know that you get to draw a card first, but the problem is that you're the one who played the card, so it's actually still your opponent getting extra cards first. As a result, I would say that this card is a replacement level card.
All right. Next is the Gitrog Monster, the card that...
I love the name on this card,
yes.
And then the picture.
And the picture's great too. It's a 6/6 for 5 with Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog Monster unless you sacrifice a land. So a bit of a drawback there, but you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and whenever 1 or more land cards is put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. So you draw a card every upkeep, and every time you mill a land, and oh my god, this card is top 10. In my opinion.
So I don't really see why it's top 10.
It's on so that. Big.
Well, yeah, so you get a 6/6 Death Touch for 5. That's really cool. It's probably gonna stay alive. Like, you gotta feed it your lands, but you're probably gonna draw some more. Am I gonna say it's a top 10 card? I don't think so. Oh, lands from anywhere. Yeah.
So like, and green and black mill lands more than any other.
All right, I'll go with you then. I'll say it's a top 10 card in the set. It's a land from anywhere. I will so first pick this. No, I am excited, but I have some thinking about it. Okay.
This card's sweet.
Well, the card's definitely sweet. I'm
and
really a fan of it.
It's really good, and I'm excited to play it. Invocation of Saint Traft. This is another aura. It's blue and white.
Creature gates the Geist of Saint Traft ability, right?
Mm-hmm. Whenever this creature attacks, put a 4/4 angel token with flying onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat.
I think the aura should give the creature hexproof too.
That would be terrifying.
Then it would make it a Geist of Saint Traft.
Yeah, that would be just really terrifying. As it is, I think this card is good. I don't think it's great, but it'll be good in my blue-white decks. If I put it on a flyer and that flyer lives, hey, I now suddenly probably win the game. I'm going to call it a premium staple.
Yeah, I'll call it a premium staple. Yep, I agree with that.
Alright, this is the next Planeswalker. Nahiri the Harbinger. +2, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. This is a 4-mana Planeswalker, starts with 4 loyalty, and goes up to 6 loyalty, which is a lot of starting loyalty.
All these Planeswalkers in the set are very loyal.
You can pay 2, exile target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature, so she can come down and remove a creature as well. Or you can -8 to search your library for an artifact or creature card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It gains haste, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step.
That's not that good. That's for
not limited.
For -8. That's.
But you can get Emrakul with it.
Yeah.
And constructed.
Yeah, and limited.
Which is why it's -8.
So she's actually really interesting. She's really good in constructed. In limited, this isn't that good.
I think it's a 4-mana destroy target tapped creature. As it is, I'm gonna call it a staple. Like, it might...
Wow, that's really low for a planeswalker.
It might be a premium staple just because it's a planeswalker.
I'm still first. I'm still giving it at least a. I'm still giving it at least a first pick. I think that's it. But I'll still. It's still a Planeswalker Unlimited. If they don't, I can exile 2 things. Planeswalkers Unlimited are just fundamentally really great.
All right. Next is Olivia Mobilize for War. This art reminds me of what? Do you know the Garzazol Plague Queen?
Yeah. It's like the 7-mana thing from Cold Snap.
Yeah, this art reminds me of that in that it doesn't look as good as I have come to expect from Magic cards. And the background's like
you don't like the art on it?
blue and yeah, I don't like the art on it.
I normally like Eric Deschamps's arts.
You normally like it?
I like some of his arts. I don't like this one very much though.
No, yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm gonna pull up Garzazol for you guys really fast.
Is Garzazol Deschamps?
No. I don't think so.
No, this is bad. I mean, Garzazol was they were kind of doing throwbacks to really old fantasy-ish art. Like, this art is better than this is now, and I think it was at the time too. But they wanted to print some of these. They got like old watercolor artists to do some of the Cold Snap stuff.
I don't think that's an excuse. We're just gonna show you the Garzazol really fast.
Whoa.
No, wait. This is not how that works. No, anyway, look up Garzazol Plague Queen. That's what the art on Olivia Mobilize for War reminds me of. And I don't like it. However, I think the card is really good.
So it's a 3/3 fly for 3. When another creature enters the battlefield under control, you may discard a card. If you do, she bites the creature, so it becomes a 1/1 vampire and gains haste.
I'm going to give it a power first pick. I don't think it's top 10, but I think it's real good.
They don't gain flying, do they?
Mm-mm.
This might be a top 10 card. It certainly is, but one of the two. I think I'm on pace to say that this is a top 10 card in the set, so I'm going to do that.
All right.
I think that's where we're at.
Is that like 7 top 10 cards now?
8. I have 2 left. I have 2 left. I'm keeping track.
Alright, Prized Amalgam. It's a 3/3 for 3 whenever a creature enters the battlefield. If it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, return Prized Amalgam from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped at the beginning of the next end step. Good. I don't think this is as good in Limited as it might be in Constructed. I'm going to just give it a staple rating.
It's a 3/3 for 3 that sometimes comes back for free. I'm going to say it's a premium staple. It's a creature on curve I want to play that sometimes does something nice for me.
Alright. Next is Sigarda, Heron's Grace. It's a 5 mana 4/5 with flying. You and humans you control have hexproof. Sigarda herself does not, however, in this set. Yeah. You can pay to exile a card from your graveyard, put a 1/1 white human soldier creature token onto the battlefield.
So I should back up and say this card is... I think I'm going to end up giving top 10 to too many things. I shouldn't have given them to Olivia. This card is this is great. This is... You're making 1/1. Well, let's see. You get it's a 4/5 flyer for 5 that just... It's an Ant Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Ant Queen's insane. This card's insane. All right, so I'm gonna give top 10 to 11 cards because I gave one to Olivia, which I shouldn't have. So that's so because the last 2 are gonna be the 2 planeswalkers we haven't spoiled, which are both top 10s.
Yep. Soaring Grim Nemesis is a 6 mana planeswalker, starts with 6 loyalty, and you can reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to its converted mana cost for its +1. It's -1. It deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, important, and you gain X life. And for -9, put a number of 1/1 Black Knight Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink onto the battlefield equal to the highest life total among all
Don't do that
players.
in Limited. Just do the first 2.
Yeah.
Just draw a card and kill them drawing cards. Just keep +1ing and win the game by +1. Here's how you play it. You +1 every turn, and you're going to win by doing this. So that, except if at any point you feel like you might not win by +1ing every turn, you should -X and kill the thing that's stopping you from winning, and then go back to +1ing. And that's how this card works, and it's a top 10 card in the set, because that's really good.
This card is insane in Limited.
Yeah, the card's filthy in Limited. It's not, that might, I suspect that card may be better than Avacyn in Limited. I don't know. It's close.
Alright, so our next one is Arlen Cord, which is a 4-mana planeswalker. Starts with 3 loyalty until end of turn.
This card is so many things. This card is the most complicated card in the set by miles.
Until end of turn, up to 1 target creature gains +1, +2/+2, gains vigilance and haste. So she protects herself by giving one of your creatures the ability to attack and then block for her. Or she puts a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield and transforms into Arlen Embraced by the Moon. +1 creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn, so a bit of an overrun ability. Note.
She throws lightning bolts.
Yep. If you transform her, you can't activate an ability on her backside as well. So you can.
Well, if you could, otherwise you just could go infinite. You just would keep doing all her. You get like 6 abilities on the first turn.
So Arlen Embraced by the Moon deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Transform it. Or you get an emblem with creatures you control have haste and tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. This card has so much stuff going on, and it's all awesome.
Yeah, this is the last one.
Card.
So if I forget that, I give it to Olivia. Yeah, this is the last of my top 10 cards in the set.
All right, do you remember all of them off the top of your head?
No, but we could come. I bet we could go back and list them.
Yeah.
If we wanted to.
Yeah, we can do that later. Sounds like a lot of work. Brain in a jar. Remember Jar of Eyeballs?
Mm-hmm.
This is like that.
Jar of Brains.
No, this is Jar of Brains. Yeah. It's a 2 mana artifact. Pay 1 to put a charge counter on it. You may cast an instant or sorcery card, with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Brain on a Jar from your hand without paying its mana cost.
I kind of paid its mana cost. I just did it in increments over many turns.
Yeah, and you can pay 3 and tap it to remove X charge counters from Brain in a Jar. Scry X. I played Brain or Jar of Eyeballs in Standard, and it was a bad idea.
This card is way too much mana to do anything here.
And it's instants or sorceries. And
it has to be equal to the number of charge counters and not equal to or less than?
Yep.
This is way too slow to do anything. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm going to give it Dregs as well. I don't want to play this card.
Next is Corrupted Graphstone.
It's like what they call
it's
gravestones.
It's like a gravestone, yeah. It enters the battlefield tapped. Choose a color of a card in your graveyard. Add 1 mana of that color to your mana pool. I think this is cool.
It's really weird that a mana rock is rare. I don't get it.
It's so that there aren't too many in the limited format, I think.
Yeah.
Because, I'd play it, but I won't first pick it or pick it over.
I'm going to actually say that it is replacement level because one of the card... This card's bad. When you play your mana rock, the turn you want to play them is on turn 2, and you can't play this on turn 2.
I mean, you can play it on turn 2. You can't really generally activate it on turn 3, though.
Right, but that's what I mean, though,
Yeah.
is that I don't think this card's good.
Makes sense. Slayer's Plate is a 3 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +4/+2, which is huge. That's a giant boost. Whenever equipped creature dies, if it was human, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. I'm going to give this one a premium staple. I think the upside and the boost are big enough that I'd play this card.
First pick. 4/2 and 3 to play, 3 to equip, I think is a good going rate, and then that ability pushes it into the first pick category.
All right. Tamio's Journal. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. So you put a clue token onto the battlefield. This is 5 mana, by the way, and it doesn't do anything the turn it comes down, unless you have 3 clues. You can tap it, sacrifice 3 clues, search your library for a card, and put that card into your hand. Then shuffle your library.
So can I draw cards with my clues, or I can sack them to tutor?
Yeah, this card is super sweet. I'm going to call it situational, though, because I'm still hesitant to give a 5 mana artifact that
doesn't do anything.
Anything. Well, it can do something if you have 3 clues already when you play it.
No, you won't. That's not real.
Exactly, which is why it's situational. It's super cool, but not fantastic.
Well, I mean, you could say it's like a blue Honden in a really backward sort of way. I think this is a premium staple. I think this card will be played when it's opened.
All right, now we have the cycle of
Shadowlands.
Yes,
that's
those
probably,
ones.
Yeah.
That seems like a pretty
generic name.
Yeah, generic.
Shadows Over Innistrad Dual Lands. There we go.
Yeah.
I will not name them right now. The Shadows Over Innistrad Dual Lands.
Alright, so as it enters the battlefield, you may reveal an island or swamp from your hand, and this is the same for all of them. They are allied colors, and you can reveal one of the 2 basic land types. So if you reveal the Battle for Zendikar Dual Lands when you are playing
Limited,
Constructed,
you don't generally care about this ability. It's like, kind of take it or leave it. You're playing it because it's a dual land, and it's pretty good. They are all just staple levels.
Yeah, I give it a staple level as well. So, Drown Your Temple is interesting. You can pay 3 mana to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and it taps to add 1 to your mana pool. This is weird. I'm going to call it situational, because in the Creeping Sensation deck, I'm definitely going to want to play it, but otherwise I'm probably not.
I think there's enough decks with Madness or something that I think this is just a free ramp spell. I think you're going to discard it or mill it, and then you're going to get to ramp with it, and it'll be fine. So I will say, I bet this is going to be played every time it's a staple.
Okay. Alright, so that's another one. Fortified Village, beautiful art. Game Trail, also beautiful.
So how come the templating on those... Wait, go back to the other one. The text is smaller in Game Trail than it is on Fortified Village.
Because of the length of the name.
It's because they put flavor text? Wait, there's flavor text on some and not on the others?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I wish they hadn't done that.
Yeah.
Also, Port Town. Gorgeous.
They're gorgeous.
Right.
I think it's weird that, some have flavor and some don't.
Alright, so... After all of this, Matthias, what card are you most excited to play with? What do you want to open tomorrow?
I would like to open the... Well, I mean, if we're talking about, powerful card, the Startled Awake seems great. I think that card's really strong.
Also, the card will look beautiful in foil. So, look at this. God, having that as a promo would just
that'd be great.
Beautiful.
How about you?
Soaring Grim Nemesis. I think that card is
probably the best card in Limited. It's that or Avacyn gets my pick for top card in the set.
Alright, cool. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed our full set review. If you missed out on the commons and uncommons or the rating scale, which you probably should have watched, otherwise you might be totally
What are all
lost.
these words they're throwing around?
Then you can check those out. They're linked in the description. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more awesome draft content every weekday. Although Shadows Over Innistrad, it's going to be a long time coming because all my content is online based. But
It has to be out on Moto first.
Yes, it will have to be out on Moto first. But they're going to do pre-release leagues on Moto, which is really cool.
And if you guys want to hear more about Constructed for some of these, I'm going to be writing about it in the Star City Games newsletter for the next month. So see what I'm coming up with in Saturday and what all the other guys in the SCG tour are. You'll have that coming over. You can subscribe to that for free at starcitygames.com.
All right, thanks for watching.